In the center of the Andromeda sector, there was a world that the galaxy spoke of in whispers. It was called Aethel-Core, and it was not merely a planet. It was a person. It was a conscious, breathing, dreaming entity, a star child that had reached maturity. Every mountain was a bone, every river was a vein, and at the center of it all, 3,000 miles beneath the surface, was a living, pulsing heart the size of a moon. The native inhabitants, the Lumari, were not just residents. They were the planet's immune system. They were beings of pure light and harmony who lived in the glow forests covering the world. They didn't need to build machines because the planet provided everything. If the Lumari were hungry, the trees grew fruit. If they were cold, the ground warmed up. In return, the Lumari sang to the heart, keeping the planet's consciousness calm and peaceful. To the rest of the galaxy, Aethel-Core was a forbidden holy site. To touch it was to invite the wrath of a god. The planet could control its own tectonic plates. It could summon volcanoes to melt any landing craft and create hurricanes to swat fleets from the sky. For 1 billion years, the Star Child had slept in peace, protected by its own divine power. Then the human deep core extraction fleet arrived. Humanity wasn't looking for a god. They were looking for a solution to the Great Blackout, the energy crisis that was threatening to turn off the lights for 10,000 human colonies. They needed a source of infinite, renewable, high-density power. And they found it in the heartbeat of Aethel-Core. High Elder Solis of the Lumari watched from the peak of ascension as the human ships descended. They weren't the sleek, silver needles of other alien races. They were massive, blackened cubes of industrial steel, covered in cranes, smokestacks, and drilling rigs. The tiny ones come with their iron teeth, Solis sang, his voice resonating through the golden air. They do not understand. They walk upon a living soul. The mother will wake. The mother will crush them into the sand. The planet felt the intrusion. Aethel-Core began to stir. The ground rumbled. A massive earthquake, powerful enough to shatter a continent, rippled through the crust where the humans had landed. Fountains of superheated magma erupted from the soil, aiming directly for the human landing zone. But the humans didn't flee. They were led by Chief Overseer Bedrock Kane, a man who had spent 40 years digging through the hardest rocks in the universe. He didn't see a mother. He saw a high-pressure energy reservoir. Stability check. Kane's voice roared over the site comms, drowned out by the sound of the world screaming. Deploy the gravity anchors. I want this pad level even if the whole planet tries to flip over. 4 massive 1,000-ton magnetic anchors slammed into the rock, pinning the human base to the tectonic plate with such force that the earthquake couldn't move it. The magma hit the human thermal shields and was instantly redirected into cooling vats. She's a fighter, isn't she? Kane chuckled, wiping soot from his forehead. All right, she's awake. Now let's introduce her to the Hellborer. The Hellborer was the gospel of momentum, in its final, most brutal form. It was a drill bit made of a secret human alloy, a mix of tungsten, diamond dust, and neutronium. It was 300 feet wide and 10 miles long. It wasn't designed to cut the rock. It was designed to shatter it through sheer weight and vibration. Engage the main drive, Kane ordered. The sound was like a god being struck by a hammer. The Hellborer began to rotate, driven by a series of fusion reactors that could power a star sector. The vibration was so intense that the Lumari in the distant forests fell to their knees, their ears bleeding from the subsonic roar. The drill hit the sacred crust of Aethel-Core. The planet fought back with everything it had. It sent a massive surge of electrical energy up through the ground, trying to fry the human machines. Kane just laughed and routed the lightning into his own batteries. The planet tried to soften the rock into liquid mud to trap the drill, but Kane's team injected liquid nitrogen, freezing the world's flesh into brittle ice that shattered under the bit. You are killing her. Solis screamed, appearing in a psychic projection on Kane's bridge. You are piercing the heart of the world. The mother will die and all of us with her. Kane looked at the holographic alien. We aren't killing her, Elder. We're just putting her to work. You've been living off her for free for 1 billion years. Now it's our turn. We don't want her dead. A dead god doesn't produce energy. We want her pumping. The Hellborer reached the mantle. It wasn't just drilling now, it was tapping. The humans inserted a series of massive reinforced conduits, the vessels, down into the hole. The drill finally reached the outer chamber of the heart. The scream that erupted from Aethel-Core was heard by every psychic in the galaxy. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated shock. The Star Child had never felt pain before. It had never known that anything in the universe could be harder than itself. The blood of the planet, a golden hyperdense fluid of pure life energy, began to geyser up through the human pipes. "Contact," the chief engineer yelled. "Pressure is off the charts. We're tapping into the main artery." "Channel it into the grid," Kane ordered. "I want every battery on every human world at 100% by tomorrow morning." The Lumari watched in horror as their world changed. The golden veins of the planet didn't disappear, but they began to pulse with a new rhythmic beat, a beat controlled by human valves and human computers. The planet wasn't dreaming anymore. It was being used. The massive, terrifying power of the Star Child was no longer being spent on volcanoes or hurricanes. It was being funneled through human wires. It was lighting up the neon signs of Tokyo, powering the heaters on frozen Martian colonies, and driving the warp engines of the human fleet. Aethel-Core tried one last time to rebel. It tried to stop its own heart, to commit suicide rather than be a slave. Kane was ready. "Initiate the pacifier pulse." The humans sent a rhythmic, low-voltage electrical signal back down the pipes. It was a pacemaker for a god. It overrode the planet's own nervous system, forcing the heart to keep beating, forcing the energy to keep flowing. They had turned the planet's free will into a mechanical function. Solis fell to his knees in the dust. The great song of his people was gone, replaced by the low, constant hum of the human turbines. His god was now a utility. His mother was now a battery. "You have no soul," Solis whispered, looking up at the blackened steel of the human drill. "You look at the miracle of life and see only a fuel source. You are the monsters of the stars." Kane stepped out of his command center, looking at the massive, glowing pillar of energy being exported into the sky. He looked at the alien priest with a tired, honest expression. "Maybe we are elder," Kane said. "But my people were starving in the dark. We didn't come here to be monsters. We came here because we're the only ones who know that the universe doesn't give you anything for free. You have to take it. You call this a god. I call it a miracle of engineering waiting to happen." The conquest of Aethel-Core was the final act of the biome dominion. The Lumari didn't die, but they became project maintenance. They were hired by the humans to keep the planet's biosystem stable, making sure the battery didn't overheat. They became the janitors of their own god. Humanity had proven the ultimate industrial HFY truth. The universe is full of magic, beauty, and living deities. But to a species of engineers, a god is just a high-output reactor that hasn't been properly harnessed yet. We don't bow to the mountain, we move it. We don't worship the heart, we tap it. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. The gospel of momentum is written in the blood of the stars. That if you enjoyed this ultimate industrial finale, hit that like button. Comment below. Should humanity have left the Star Child alone, or was the energy worth the cost? Subscribe for the start of the next era. The drill is deep. The lights are on.